everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. A huge thank you to our host this evening, Edward Screven. Edward is the 2020 JDRF Silicon Valley One Walk Corporate Chair, and our sincere thanks to Oracle Corporate Citizenship and JDRF for the partnership in making Team Oracle Global a reality for the 2020 JDRF One Walk season. I know everybody's had a long day of Zooming, and the last thing you need is another Zoom. So we're going to make these next 40 minutes filled with meaning and inspiration and worthy of that 5 p.m. time slot. So thank you again for sharing this little slice of your evening with us. One housekeeping item is if you have questions, please put them in the chat. We've got somebody monitoring those, and we'll make sure that there's time at the end for questions. So as some of you know me, my name is Bonnie Carlson. I'm the team captain for Team Oracle. My day job is a program manager with the Global Executive Sponsor Program in Global Operations. But my avocation and my passion is diabetes advocacy and making a difference in the diabetic community. In the words of Mahatma Gandhi, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And this really rings true for me. 6 years ago, my daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 10 years old, and it turned our lives upside down. It was and is challenging for people to understand how serious and difficult it is to live with type 1 diabetes when my daughter looks like the spitting image of health on the outside. Type 1 diabetes is an autoimmune disease that at the moment has no cure. It is caused by an erroneous autoimmune response that attacks healthy insulin-producing beta cells in the pancreas until the pancreas is broken beyond repair and renders it non-functioning. This is a life-threatening problem because insulin, a hormone that regulates blood sugar, is essential to life. It's like insulin is the key that opens the doors from your bloodstream to your cells where it provides energy. And when there's no insulin, the doors remain locked and the glucose in your bloodstream can't go anywhere else, so it just accumulates there. High blood sugar and chronic high blood sugar can be deadly and cause a number of serious long-term health problems, including blindness, kidney failure, heart disease, and others. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, low blood sugar can also be deadly. It's a common saying in the diabetes community that a successful day is living between the lines, not too high and not too low. So what does it take to live between the lines every day? Once you have type 1 diabetes, you now have to think like a pancreas and take up to between 10 and 15 injections of insulin a day. Each of those doses require some very delicate math, taking into consideration current blood sugar readings, the number of carbohydrates you're eating, and a slew of other things that affect blood sugar, like exercise or stress. Yes, insulin is still the miracle it was in 1922 when Sir Frederick Banting discovered it. My daughter is alive today because of him. He is my hero. But insulin is a treatment, a challenging every few hours regimen, every day with no holidays. Insulin is not a cure. The right amount of insulin is an effective treatment, but the wrong amount can be deadly. So that's why we all want a cure. And JDRF is the leading organization that is funding groundbreaking research for a cure, as well as therapies that reduce the burden of living with type 1 diabetes. So why are we here tonight? Last year, I heard Thomas Screven speak at a JDRF event. Because of our Oracle connection, I introduced myself to Edward and invited his family to join the small Team Oracle walk team that I had formed for the Silicon Valley One Walk. Edward and Sally graciously agreed, and one thing led to another, and we ended up with about 400 Oracle volunteers that joined us at Great America last year. It was a great day of camaraderie, doing good, and raising awareness about type 1 diabetes. Obviously, I could go on forever and talk about my journey with type 1 diabetes, but I'd rather you hear it from others in our community who have been affected and who are affected. Before I pass it to our host and to talk about our partnership with JDRF, we're going to hear, we'd like to share with you a video of some Oracle JDRF Youth Ambassadors, Thomas Screven, Edward's son, Stuti Pandey, whose both her parents work at Oracle, Joy T. and Sarab, Junior Wright, whose dad is Jim Wright and works here at Oracle, and then my daughter, Marina Kaipigyan. So Kevin, you can play the video.
I'm Thomas Screven. I'm 17 years old. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 4.
I'm Stuti Pandey. I'm 15 years old and I was diagnosed with type 1 in 2013. Hi, I'm Junior Wright, and I'm 10 years old, and I was diagnosed in 2018.
Hi, I'm Marina Kuiper-Gian. I'm 16, and I was diagnosed 6 years ago.
To care for my diabetes, normally I go for walks whenever my blood sugar is high. I also test my blood sugar whenever I'm feeling unwell. I take my insulin, and if my blood sugar gets low, I eat some.
And I routinely check throughout the day, and according to meals and exercise, I correct accordingly.
So for almost all my living memory, I've had type 1 diabetes, so it's just been life.
For me, diabetes has always been a lingering reminder in the back of my head. Even though I've learned to be independent, it always has a role in most of my decisions daily.
In my 13 years having type 1 diabetes, I've seen the technology and just general lifestyle of type 1 diabetics improve so much. And a lot of that came from research. And the money for that research, a lot of that came from the JDRF One Walk.
JDRF and the One Walk mean a lot to me because it shows how much support there is for people with type 1 like me and how much hope there is for the technology to keep improving.
For me, I like to support JDRF and the One Walk because I want to kill diabetes.
A cure would mean one less thing to think about in my day-to-day life and to allow myself to focus more on things I want to do rather than things I need to do.
For me, a cure would mean I wouldn't always have to be worrying about my blood sugar. I wouldn't have to always be thinking in the back of my mind about how everything I do will affect my diabetes. So it just means I could be a little more free.
To me, a cure really means I would be able to be with my friends and not have to worry about what food I'm going to eat or if I'm going to go low.
And the cure to me would mean almost everything because a lot of stress in my life is caused by diabetes. Thank you for supporting JDRF.
Thank you for supporting me and my friends.
Thank you for supporting the 1.6 million Americans with type 1 diabetes.
And thank you for helping us find a cure for type 1 diabetes. Together we can change the world.
That's the power of us.
Let's turn type 1 into type none.
Thank you for being a hero.
Great. So now we're going to hear from Edward.
Thank you, Bonnie. So first thing I want to do is I want to thank you all of you who took the time to join this webcast, and also thank you everyone who's signed up to be part of Team Oracle. You know, it's very gratifying to me personally to see my friends and colleagues inside the company who are willing to step up and help out with something that matters a lot to your fellow employees. You know, when my son was first diagnosed, he was the boy in the top right hand corner of the video. I mean, it, like Bonnie says, it just literally turns your life upside down, right? Because in my case, I mean, I actually knew nothing at all about type 1 diabetes, nothing. And my wife and I were staring at this kind of this sort of abyss of activity that we were going to have to undertake, and we knew nothing at all about, right? So the very first thing we discovered, though, is that there are so many other people that you don't realize who have type 1 diabetes who are just absolutely willing to tell you what you got to do, right? And that made the difference to us between being able to handle it and not being able to handle it. And I don't care how educated you are. I don't care what your life experience has been. You're just not prepared, to deal with something like type 1 diabetes, unless you have the support of people around you, unless you have the support of people who are willing to take the time and make the effort to make sure that you can figure out what to do and you can figure out a way to work. And the very next thing that my wife and I did, as soon as we felt like we could stand on our 2 feet, was, all right, well, how can we make a difference? I mean, what's the plan here? What's the long-term plan for a cure? I mean, how can we make our son's life better? How can we make the lives of all the other people that we see now, like have this condition? Well, the answer was medical research that in large part is funded by JDRF, right? And just in the 14 years that my family has been living with type 1 diabetes, we've seen the real practical impact of the research funded by JDRF. I mean, we've gone from having to inject my son many times a day with a syringe, prick his finger many times with a meter, which isn't frankly all that accurate, right? Trying to guess all the time about what sort of insulin injections he's going to need for the food and everything else. We've gone to having continuous glucose monitors and pumps that pump insulin as needed, right? And that's helped us control my son's blood sugar much better than we possibly could have before. And the reason why JDRF was so appealing to us is not only are they funding that research, but if you look at the organization, they're really very efficient, right? I mean, almost all the money they collect, it goes into medical research, right? I mean, it's an organization that's actually delivering on what they say they're going to do. I mean, you give them money, it turns into research that makes the lives of people who've got this condition better, right? And I'm absolutely convinced, right, that JDRF is going to lead the way to a cure, right? Bonnie did a great job of explaining how, what type 1 diabetes is, what the condition is. I mean, and so JDRF is sponsoring research that is doing things like, okay, create new beta cells that produce insulin from stem cells, right? And either genetically edit them or put them behind a barrier so that a body's immune system won't attack it. So, when they succeed with that, type 1 diabetes will be cured, right? Someone who has type 1 diabetes won't need to worry about balancing their blood sugar like they do now through guesswork and machinery, but rather their existence would be as the same as someone who does not have type 1 diabetes. They're also working on things like medication that will slow the effect, slow the progression of type 1 diabetes with people who are in early stages. And so to give those folks a much longer period of time where they won't have to worry about balancing the blood sugar, and that also matters a lot. And so when you put those things together, it's like, well, JDRF is the obvious choice for me and my family to support, right? And so that's what we decided to do. So over the years we've been strong supporters of JDRF because they are making a difference. Well, obviously, this year at this moment in time, things are different. Things are different because of COVID-19. Obviously, all of the way we're working is changing, the way companies are operating is changing, and when you get uncertainty like COVID-19 has created, what happens is that organizations like JDRF that depend on donations, the donation levels drop, so the amount of money they receive goes down, and so events like this One Walk are even more important now than ever before. Right, because the reality is, because JDRF is such an efficient organization, if they bring in less money, less research happens. And if the money for research falls below a certain threshold, well, then research projects, they just shut down. And once they shut down, it's very hard to restart. And so that's why my wife and I have made kind of an especially strong effort this time around to help JDRF raise more money. And that's why I am so deeply appreciative of all the things that all of you are doing, signing up for this walk, donating money. It's really just overwhelming. And also, if I have to add to, Oracle as a company, I'm just so grateful for Larry and Safra, because they decided to sponsor this walk at the hero sponsorship level. So Oracle is donating $100,000 itself as a company to help make this happen. And so again, I'm very thankful to all of you, and I just want to tell you how much I appreciate everything that you're putting into this and making happen. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Edward. I'm so grateful for your leadership and inspired by your personal commitment to make a difference for all of us. And since Oracle first got involved with the JDRF One Walk last year, I've met so many other employees who are affected by type 1. And to be honest, it's like meeting family when we meet for the first time, because we share the common struggles, and we know how difficult it is to live with this disease, and it's difficult for the rest of the world to understand our lives. But it's been true for my family that our lives got exponentially better when we became involved in the community and received help from other people and now give help to other people. Together, our burdens are divided and our success is multiplied. So tonight, we have invited some other Oracle Type 1 diabetes family members to share a little bit about their story. So Esther, why don't you start?
Hi, everybody. I'm Esther Frey, and I actually am pretty new to Oracle. I started in December. I'm responsible for recruiting for OCI in North America, and I live in Seattle. My youngest child is 12, and he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes 4 years ago. And like everybody says, you know, it turns your life upside down. The most crazy story, I just have to tell this story really quickly. I promise it won't be long, but we left the hospital after being there for 3 days, finally almost relieved that we understood what was going on with him. And that very next day, he had soccer practice. He plays Premier Soccer. He's year round. And so nothing's going to change. We're going to go to practice. And of course, I'm like, how do I manage this? I mean, I am calling the nurse line before because I just don't know how I'm going to do this. How do I know if he's going low when he's playing? And how often do I check him? And I was just so uncertain. And I get to the field and I look over, and Jordan Morris, who's an MLS player, get a little verklempt, sorry. Jordan Morris is on the field, and I know he has type 1 diabetes. And I am not a celebrity person. I would never bother a celebrity. And I march right over to where he's practicing. And I'm like, Jordan, you need to meet my son. He just got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And he walks over and just drops everything, comes over, takes a picture with my son. And he's like, buddy, everything's going to be fine. And he's like, you know what you need to do? You need to keep playing soccer. He's like, you just need to watch your blood sugar. And he's like, the most important thing you can do is just exercise. You can do anything. And I left that conversation. I was thinking, what are the chances that he would be here the day my son is practicing, the day after we get let out of the hospital? And those are like those signals that you need as a parent that everything's going to be okay and you're going to get through it. But anyway, so I'm just very excited to be working for a company that has a passion that is so close to mine. And I'm so fortunate to be part of this community. So thank you for the time, and I'll hand it over to Rhonda before I cry.
Thanks, Esther. I am Rhonda Green, and I live in the way western suburbs, St. Charles, western suburbs of Chicago, that is. And I've been at Oracle for about 13 years. I am in the real estate department, and I'm the director of workplace design and furniture, which means I get to build and provide Oracle office spaces all over the country. Most recently, I'm specifically passionate about integrating the Redwood brand into our offices whenever and wherever we can. It's been a really fun initiative over the last year. In my 13 years at Oracle, say hi. Hi. What's your name? You want to say what your name is? Oh, all of a sudden we got shy. Sorry about that. This is Gigi. She is 8. And I have another son who is almost 7. And Gigi was diagnosed with type 1 just a little over a year ago. As everybody said, we have and continue to meet other great families and people that have type 1 diabetic or type 1 diabetes. And it's the most supportive and great group that we didn't really want to be a part of, but everybody has been amazing. I'm very thankful for our benefits to have great health care at Oracle. Here in our house, my husband and I have a motto that is kid first, diabetes second. And we are able to do that because of the technology and the type of treatments that we're able to give Gigi because of the technology. So she uses an insulin pump and a continuous glucose monitor, like Edward was mentioning before. And we use that all day, every day, as everybody else has mentioned here on the phone. It's an all day, everyday process, and we think about it a lot. I just want to also say thank you for your support to walk, run, ride, give, whatever you can do. I love that Oracle is sponsoring this. I also agree that technology is where it's at in the future for improved treatments and for a cure. It's awesome. There's so many people from all over the globe that are supporting this. So thank you all. We are stronger together.
Of you taking out your evening time and listening to all our stories and working together, walking together in this beautiful initiative. I am Jyoti. I work in financials product management team in ERP Cloud. My husband is also from Oracle. He is over at CX Cloud. Our younger daughter, Stuti, who is also in the video, has type 1 diabetes, and she's now 15 years old. She was diagnosed back in 2013 when she was 8 years old. Actually, I very vividly remember the day of her diagnosis because it was smack in the middle of open world, and it was the third night, and I was thinking whether or not I should be going to that Maroon 5 concert. And thank God I didn't, because we had an emergency overnight, and she ended up in hospital and her diabetes story started. So as many before me have mentioned, type 1D has a huge, steep learning curve, and you have a lot to learn, and you have to learn it fast. Like even the smallest decision, basic of decision to keep her safe, we were kind of clueless and really struggled. From the work front, I mean, we had to shift things a little bit. I was fortunate working for Oracle, where there's so much of work, so I could easily change my roles, shift to an IC role so that I have a better bandwidth, and ultimately started working from home, and that helps Stuti tremendously because she could come home sooner and not stay in aftercare. So had a lot of support from Oracle. I mean, a lot of you may agree, when with type 1 diabetes, one thing you don't take for granted is sleep. So I do remember the early years where sometimes I would show to work like a zombie. My colleagues also remember, because they would tell me to chill, because I'll be writing emails at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and 3 a.m. And they're like, why are you writing like at all times of the night? Like, do you have too much work? And I would say, no. I was up anyways, so I might as well do some work. So that's the kind of life of a type 1 diabetic parent, But in recent years, the sleep has come by. There have been so many advancements, and most recently, due to the closed loop systems, Saurabh and I are able to sleep a little bit better. I mean, we get to sleep uninterrupted most nights. So, all this has happened due to the frequent and much needed changes needed in the technology. The other thing I would mention, the community is where we get the most help. There are of course doctors and caregivers, but the best, the hope, the pointers, the personal stories come from community. So the JDRF is one such community. We have had total strangers just calling us over their houses for dinner and helping us. And this community gets bigger when Oracle gets behind it. So I'm so grateful for Oracle support. Last year when Oracle decided to sponsor the One Walk, I felt grateful, I felt proud. To know that Oracle, the company I work for, is understanding the situation, the complexity, and deciding to help JDRF in coming up with cure was like awesome. So again, Oracle is sponsoring One Walk this year, and I'm tremendously grateful. And to have Oracle understand and lend support to JDRF to address the #1 challenge in my life is awesome. And I'm very, very thankful. I'm thankful to not only Oracle, but the community we have formed, the team Oracle and the employees, and Edward, especially to you. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Esther, Rhonda, Rob, and Jyoti, for sharing your stories. They always touch my heart, and you're all family with me. So if this were a normal team kickoff, we would be having this event at the Oracle Conference Center, and we would have been just finishing up some really delicious appetizers. And I would be now telling you to get your walking shoes ready for a fun-filled day at Great America. But instead, I'm going to remind all of you to be safe, and thank you very much for walking, running, biking, swimming, wherever you are. And because the pandemic threw us a curveball this year, the JDRF was challenged with getting really creative, and creative they got. So here to tell us more about the logistics of how the virtual One Walk is actually going to work is Kevin O'Scanlan.
Thank you, Bonnie, and thank you everyone at Oracle, both our leaders and Edward, and you, Bonnie, and our participants. We are so inspired, especially now, especially this year when things are challenging, when things are hard. So we're just so grateful. I'm going to do a quick screen share and give you a little, just 1, 2, 3 on what it all means to get virtual, to get involved this year. So I think I'm doing this right. Maybe Bonnie, you can give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. The Team Oracle Global, here, the JDRF One Walk Silicon Valley. So here we are. This is our team page.
I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it? Oh, wait, here we go.
No.
There we go. That should do it.
Okay, I see it now.
All right, so here we are. This is our team page. We have 149 team members. We've had 102 donations. We've raised $16,000 for JDRF. And if I scroll down to the bottom here, I can see that we have walked 2,467 miles for the mission, which is absolutely amazing. In fact, I saw Kevin in the chat earlier today. He said, I'm so glad that my afternoon walks have been counting towards your goal, and here they are showing up right here. So he's not just, he's really doing it out there 2 miles a day, which is phenomenal. So here on the page, and I'd love to see in the chat if everybody's registered or not, this is where you can get signed up. You can join the team by clicking this button right here. Join this team. It's super easy to enter your info. Once you're on the team, it's very easy through your participant center to link to Strava to log those miles to help contribute to our mileage goal that we are trying to hit with Team Oracle. There's a document I just opened right here about setting up Strava in case you don't have it. Super easy to use and really a fun way to get everybody working towards the same goal. Also here on the page is a way for those that choose to donate, should you choose to make a personal contribution, Oracle is generously matching that fundraising. And all you've got to do is click right here in My Giving. That'll open up your tab and you can log into your Oracle account and sign in and log your donation, which will then be doubled. So we're thrilled about that. Finally, if you are out there logging your miles, we'd love for you to download your custom Race Bib right here. Super fun. You can just print it out and write your name and who you're walking for. And as you're out there, snap a selfie or take a video and make sure you tag Oracle Citizenship, and we'll share that on our social media. And these are just a few ways that you can make a big impact on your, by participating in the walk this year. Bonnie and I are happy to help as well. If you are inspired or you're personally impacted or whatever the case may be, we'd be happy to work with you to come up with a plan to help you communicate your story. We've even had some employees reach out to us and invite us to some of their team meetings where we join in for 5 minutes, do a quick presentation, and encourage people to sign up. So really great opportunity to build community when we're all literally trapped at home. I think that's pretty much it as far as the how you register here goes. Happy to help. And I do want to say on November 1st, as we mentioned, we are going to have a virtual celebration. It's going to be a finish line festival through a website. We're going to have a video game for those of you with kids at home, or if you're big kids at heart, the popular kids video game Roblox. We're actually building a virtual walk world where you can enter and experience all of the things of Walk Day inside a video game. So we're super excited about that. In our Finish Line Festival, we are going to be recognizing top teams and fundraisers. So I want to just show you something right here. I just went to walk.jdrf.org, which is the main walk landing page. And when I look towards our miles towards mission, I can actually see what our leaderboard looks like. So let's have a look here. I clicked on companies here, and here we are. Oracle is the #3 mileage company in terms of for the walk this year. So I won't name the company that's just ahead of you, but I'm confident that Oracle can pass them up. And when we look at fundraising dollars, Oracle's right here on the list as well with $16,000 raised. I do want to point out that we launched this just over a week ago and we're just getting started. You guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm confident that with the right with the right impact, with the right sharing, and with all of you on this call, you could be the #1 team in the country. And we're so grateful for that, so appreciative of all of you. And with that, I'll stop my share and hand it back to Bonnie to wrap us up and let everyone go on with their evening. Thank you again, Oracle. We love you.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, so I'm super competitive, and I think we can be at the top of that leaderboard. If everyone here maybe gets a couple other people to participate with them, so they have some walking partners, that has a way of exponentially growing our team. And again, like Kevin said, we've already spoken to a couple teams, and it's been really well received. So if you'd like us to come and speak for 5 minutes at the beginning of a team meeting, send me an email at bonnie.carlson@oracle.com, and we'll definitely put something together. And I have a stretch goal. We've got 50,000 miles that on the page that we'd like to walk. But my stretch goal for us, if we can really get momentum around the globe, would be 100,000 miles. And as far as the giving, just be reminded that Oracle matches through my giving, as well as Edward has so generously offered to match any fundraising dollars that come in through Team Oracle, even if it's not an Oracle employee. He's matching that up to $100,000 personally. So for his commitment and leadership and leaning in this year, I mean, Edward, you are a hero. And again, thank you so much, everybody, for sharing your evening with us. One very last thing I just remembered is that we are doing a promotional video to help build momentum around the globe. So if you would like to participate in that and have your picture in our video with your race bib walking or running somewhere in your location, we'd love to see that. So you can shoot me an email and I'll send you the details for that. So thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. And we did it 1 minute early. I said 40 minutes. But did anybody have any questions? I guess I didn't see any questions that we need to do Q&A for.
Just lots of love from the chat.
Nope.
People are getting signed up, and it looks we're going to get to the top of the leaderboard. So yes, we are. Go
in no time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, go Team Oracle. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, everyone.